Get comfortable in your pods, have sweet dreams.
And welcome to Dreamscapes.
Uh, Today, Vita Carnis.
Interesting subject. It is a analog series that has been really talked about in the community of the analog core.
It is actually really unique. Like they have live puppets, which
Yes, the special effects in that is really good.
yeah, it's really interesting to see like puppetry, and I mean like analog horrors really rely on like real life effects, but there's something about just like the puppets used in Vita Carnis that are so visceral.
They're so simplification, but also so like down with like the intentions.
Yeah, I don't know, something about skinless creatures just,
Not gonna lie, I kind of want to eat some. They look tasty.
Oh my gosh. I do not. I do not. Actually, you want to know what I probably would eat? That giant meat snake in the subway. We'll get to that a little later, but
We'll get that in a little bit.
yeah, we'll get to that. But I would try that. I would eat that.
Just slurp it up. Anyways, so the first a few videos, it was actually compiled into one little documentary. We get to see
It's
a few animals.
a few, yes, a few uh, meat creatures. um, which I there's so many. Can we talk about that? There's like I mean, I say there's so many. There's like not a whole lot, but
There's we only know of six. There
yeah.
is a seventh, which I'm hoping to find out what it is.
Yeah. So would you like to list off, or would you like me to list off some of the members of Vita Carnis?
So we got to start with the crawl.
Yes. Do you want to Okay, we'll go individually then.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The crawl is basically we got a little bush guy or bunch of like vines
Yeah,
that are
almost
just
like crawling ivy a little bit.
mhm. Or like like how trees have like long roots and stuff. Think of the roots just by itself. That's basically what the crawl is.
Yes, and the crawl is the root of the rest of the creatures.
Yep.
They all eventually grow and fall off of the crawl, except for one that we will get to, and that one is
It might be
horrifying.
two because
Maybe
we don't
two,
know nothing of
yes.
the seventh one.
One, maybe two, but the one that does not fall off, it terrifies me. I hate it. It is probably my least. I mean, it's creepy, but I like my chances against it, you know? um Next up after that is
Uh,
the trimmings. Arguably a fan favorite, at least according to the other people I've talked about. I talked
yes.
about this with. They find them so adorable. They remind me of like pigs mixed with beavers. It might just be the teeth. I'm gonna be honest. The beavers might just be the teeth.
Like the cursed renditions of like live action version of characters.
What?
That's like Knuckles.
Oh no.
Knuckles the echidna.
Uh, but yeah, trimmings. I don't know. I think I might be one of the few people who've like watched this and not like the trimmings. I don't know what it is. I
No, I couldn't take care of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I am a big supporter in so ugly it's cute, but with the trimmings they're just so ugly that they're just ugly, and it's no offense to the creator. I believe it's pronounced Darian or maybe Darian, but no offense to them, but I hate them. uh
I
and
mean,
and
they're
I don't
cute.
it's not that like I don't like the way they look from a creator perspective. I don't like them as an audience. Like I they creep me out.
Well, yeah, it's gonna go in the middle of the fucking night. Like fucking,
Oh yeah, they scream.
they do.
They scream, and they're also small. I think that also makes it worse. Is that they're
They're
small.
Yeah, they're about the size of the basketball. That is what the video officially said. That's the largest
Yeah,
size we've seen them.
the size of a basketball. That is too small for a creature to look like that. I'm so sorry. That is way
Um,
too small.
the other part is I wouldn't have one as a pet if I were to be able to, because they are a lot of work.
They are, dude. I have a cat, and that's already a lot. I'm gonna get two cats. I'm on the process of getting two cats, and that's already a lot. You know.
Karma, what are you gonna name them?
My next cat,
Yeah,
Soup.
soup.
Soup. um, After the trimmings is the meat snakes.
Yeah, the basically the slurpable man little beast that he is, who can go and just like
Yeah.
good. Not actually. Please don't do that if we ever encountered these creatures.
Oh yeah, for real. Actually, good lore. The people in this universe eat the crawl. You
There's
could not. What?
also people who eat trimmings as well.
Yeah, you listen. You could not pay me any amount of money to stick anything coming from those like anything like that in my mouth. Absolutely not. It's like, And then there's the cooking video. If you're
If you haven't
listening,
seen it,
yeah, if you're listening or you're watching and you have not seen anything on this, probably watch that and then come back because you'll probably be a little lost because we can't show any videos. Um, but or
we
just
can.
pause or
We
yeah,
can. Um we just rather you actually fully absorb the original materials for the original creator.
yeah, go support. I don't know if it's Darian or
Darian,
Darian.
was it Darian Quillly? I don't know.
I don't know. We can link it. It's okay.
Really good.
It's in
We'll
the
give him.
description. um
We will.
uh but yeah, we'll put the link to the channel in the description. Please go watch like the content. If you don't want to watch like the whole thing, at least go watch the cooking video because what was that?
Dude,
um
that's like you know how you go to like buffets.
that was no. I was if anything I thought you were going to say
That's
I
crap.
thought I thought you were going to say like hibachi.
No, I was
And
gonna
that's
say it's
because
just the
like
crab that white
well
people use.
like I could you imagine like hibachi with like the meat creatures? That would be w- I love hibachi. Listen, I love hibachi. um I ugh, the thought of them tainting something as delicious as hibachi with those meat creatures.
That'd be
eh,
crazy to be honest.
what meat creature hibachi?
Yeah,
Could you imagine like a live butchering of a trimming just on your table? Dude. Ugh.
speaking
Yikes.
of the one thing that that the meat snake does actually really does creep me out is uses the creature's skulls that they just ate.
As their own, yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's also really cool. Like, imagine just being able to change your skull. Just
Yes, I am now Beast Boy.
just be like, man, I'm tired of having a human skull. I'm just gonna have a deer skull. Which also, with the meat snakes, that means that you can kind of tell like the last thing that it ate based on its skull. Could you imagine seeing a meat snake with a human skull?
Um,
Like,
it's not 100% all the time last
no.
eight,
But like,
but if its skull has been damaged, it will replace it.
yeah, but could you imagine finding a meat snake with like a human skull? How did it get it? How did it get that?
Not corpse. Well, because yeah, it consumes rotting flesh. So at that point, it would be like a corpse that had died,
Yeah.
like dear old grandpa died out in the sun.
If you want to be a serial killer in the Vita Carnis universe, get yourself a meat snake.
Name it Henry.
Um, but so there is this meat snake in the universe that grows to the size of a subway. It blocks like a subway tunnel. Um,
It is
and
what
it smells.
1.73 kilometers, right?
Is that it? Is it?
I think so.
304.5 meters.
So that's 0.3. Okay, yeah,
Point
it's
three.
still
Yeah, that is crazy. 300 meters. And it was in 1945.
yep.
It had, so we're gonna talk like a little bit about that because that is probably the only creature that I would try to eat is that specific meat snake, and that's because it's beefy. Listen, that was a thick snake. It was thick.
No, it's
Um,
the skin is consists of like beef jerky.
and also lore wise, like it's canonic that the snake smelled, I think it was like sickly sweet or kind of like scrambled eggs.
Oh yeah,
Which I'm not a big egg person. However, I'm willing to try anything once,
you're
you know.
literally in a podcast with an egg.
I don't like to eat them, you know. I don't like how they taste. Y'all don't taste good.
That's just rude.
I say as I ate eggs like a few days ago, but I don't know, you know. Growing up kind of changed my taste buds. If you asked 13-year-old me if I liked eggs, I probably would have looked you in the face horrified at the question you just asked me because I hated them. But being the age that I am now, you know, I've grown to like things that I also have eaten pickles more recently. I used to hate pickles, but they're starting to grow on me, you know. I have the wiki pulled up.
Me too.
And the aliases Burrow the Meat, like Burrow, Borrow. That's why. um Going, I don't know, the meat snakes are honestly, I don't know, the trimmings, I don't like them. They kind of creep me out a little bit. They give me the heebie jeebies. It's a little uncanny valley for me, you know. However, going off of meat snakes, we start to get into the creatures that genuinely freak me out.
Me too. Oh my god. Let's
um
talk about the meat mimic.
the mimic, yeah. First of all, they're 7 feet tall. Listen,
Yeah,
I
they start out
am
like a baby chimpanzee and then grow up to 7 feet.
7 feet tall. I am by no means like a tall person. I don't really have room to talk. And I also know that you are a very tall person. But I'm sorry,
I am.
if you are over like 6'5", you're too tall. You're too tall. Like, shrink. What is wrong with you?
I don't think you'd be saying that to Shaq.
Oh, I would tell Shaq to shrink. Absolutely. No one, no, that is so unnatural. You know, like being that tall.
Have you
Like,
seen him hold a water bottle
yes,
before? He holds it with like
yeah,
three
yes,
fingers.
yes, I have. It's
So
uncalled for.
terrifying.
It's,
I love him
but like,
so much. He still holds them.
and then could you imagine like 7 feet? Literally, like, how tall is Shaq? Shaq's like 6'11", or like, is Shaq 7 feet? How tall is
7 feet, I
Shaq?
think. Yeah,
How tall is Shaq?
7'1".
Seven. Okay, so a Shaq-sized creature with no skin, just meat. Like,
Oh yeah, he's skinny too. You know how like
yeah, like they're
big
so
and like
like
muscly
they're
he is.
yeah. Shaq is no. This is like
Imagine like a very
emancipate, not
slender guy.
emancipated. Yeah, it's, oh my gosh, it is. But they're basically like, I think it's emaciated. I don't know. They're very, very, very skinny, literally skin and bones. They kind of remind me of salad fingers. If anybody,
That's
if
actually a really good comparison.
yeah, if anybody listening has ever seen Salad Fingers, might be dating myself a little bit, but Salad Fingers, my god, in crazy. They look so insane, and like they have like a permanent smile, and it's absolutely
Mm.
crazy. It's okay.
I think the best way to put it, just think of Jim Henson's puppets and like what is it called? The Dark Crystal.
Are you talking about the Skeksis?
Yes,
No.
I think it's the best way to put it.
No, salad fingers mixed with the Skeksis. That is so foul. Oh my god.
Listen, if you're in the audience and you're huge fans, please draw it
I
and
am.
tag us.
Oh my gosh, I love the Dark Crystal so much. It is one of my favorite movies ever. We can do that for like a special because I could go for hours on how much I love that movie. I have a poster of it hung up in my room right now.
I know. We went and bought it.
I know you were with me. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. You
Um,
bugged the cashier at gunpoint. It was pretty crazy.
I know I didn't. I did not. Um, but yeah. So the mimics are like okay. I'm going to use the physical characteristics section of the wiki. Um, the mimic is a bipedal creature with uncanny similarities to humanoid anatomy. They greatly resemble humans without skin and exaggerated features. These features include uncanny structure, longer arms and thin fingers with no fingernails, longer hunched over legs with a duck footed stance, flat noses, large sunken eyes, clammy skin, a mouth full of wide teeth in a smile. It does not mean they're happy, it's just their facial structure. The mouth of the mimic contains more teeth than any human typically does and are almost entirely incisors with some canines and premolars in the back.
Smiling with but not happy. That's relatable. Anyways,
The tooth compensation is or composition is ideal for biting into meat and swallowing chunks whole. Men don't chew, bro. Like the mimics they just swallow chunks whole. It is
yeah, bro.
just
Go go
uh,
like a turkey.
it's uh I I cannot like why why do they look like that? It's oh my gosh. It when I was watching like or I would say when I was forced to watch Salad Fingers by some of my friends, I hated it. I hated it. I hate those kind like I'm so sensitive to the uncanny valley thing. Um where if something looks almost human but not quite, like it's human shaped, it freaks me out. There's no point in something looking like a human. I mean, in their case, it's because they eat humans. Um, and which I, the survival, like the survival,
Instinct of like being
well,
uncomfortable towards something that it looks human but not quite has been
true.
actually in our genes for generations.
Yes, yes, it has. Makes you wonder why. What were we running into back then where it looked human but it was not, you know?
Yes, we'll talk about that in another episode, maybe.
Maybe we can also slightly talk about fight, flight, fawn, or
Shit.
freeze.
Uh,
Anyway, your
like shoot
survival.
yourself. Yeah, survival instinct.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say in one of the episodes they talk about ways you can survive a mimic attack. Um, and it's never travel alone. Never travel at night. If you see a mimic and it hasn't seen you, slowly back away. Always keep your eyes on it. Um, like alert your local authorities. Um, if a mimic sees you and gives chase, uh, run to the best of your ability. Make as much noise as you physically can. Um, it's like it's crazy.
Yeah, we see a couple get messed up. Yeah.
Yeah, I uh and okay, I actually want to talk about that because in that like survival video where they teach you how to survive a mimic, they say always have like an escape route because if you have a clear escape route, a mimic won't chase you. That lady didn't freeze for a second to think about where to go. She obviously had an escape route. Why did that mimic chase her for so long?
I don't know.
Even
That was
after it killed the man. Like,
the boyfriend.
yeah. Like, why would it chase her that far?
Also, please feed your people. Don't bring a person hungry.
Oh, yeah, dude, she's I'm cold, tired, and hungry. Man, feed your friends, you know? No one goes
Eat first,
hungry.
and then you go.
Yeah. And it's also the more mimics eat, the more violent they get, right? Which,
That
huh.
could explain why what happened when. That's why it probably chased her for so long.
Oh, you think it was? Yeah, I guess so. Now, surprisingly enough, I don't know if it's a controversial opinion, but possible controversial opinion. The infant mimics are scarier than the like than the mature and the elder mimics.
No, bro, the elder mimics look fucking terrifying.
They do, but the infant mimics look like look like the demodogs from from Stranger Things. But
It's pretty
like
cool. I've never watched Stranger Things.
they they look like the demodogs from Stranger Things, just worse and worse in like they they're just like this meaty creature that crawls around on all fours, and it's just I hate it so much. It's I love this analog horror because of how much I hate it.
I just
It's
enjoy this analog horror because overall, what I've seen in like there's a lot of like analog horrors I've watched and stuff. This one is being consistent with its quality of content
right, real.
and of also like evolving too, and it's really great to see. Um,
Exactly. But yeah, I don't know. And it's also, if you look at the picture of like the mimic locations, right? They're supposed to be located in like the world's most populated areas. Why is
yes,
California void of mimics? Can we why? Why is California but Florida is overrun. They must enjoy vacationing elderly people, you know. Florida is bright red, and so is like Japan. Japan is getting shat on by mimics. Um, there's also like the eastern, like a giant eastern chunk of, uh, like there's no like borders. I think that's China, and then India, um, like Europe, the Middle East, Florida, the
um,
East Coast.
the other thing too is that's from the beginning of the document. That's from the
Yes,
documentary itself.
yes,
When we go to the video that for the attacks and also like the updates of like the mimic, basically we find out that that is actually we're getting overrun by mimics, and like it's actually a huge population that we are actually should be paying attention to.
yes, yes. And also the general just migration patterns of all these creatures that we'll talk about afterwards. That is creepy. But next up is the harvester. Arguably, the worst one. I hate it, but also I feel like I could handle this. Right? I'm not a very outdoorsy person. I am a homebody. I don't really go anywhere. I am also a filthy city dweller. I live, concrete jungles. As much as I say I hate them, um, so I feel like I wouldn't have to worry about this one too much.
I would have to worry. I like going outside sometimes.
I mean, like I go on like the occasional hike, but I work out in the gym. That's how I get, I work out and play games inside. I enjoy indoor activities. I enjoy the AC, you know? But yeah, the harvester is it's this egg shaped
I
like
get it. It's funny.
it's this egg shaped kind of like
Think of a hand
bulbous.
grenade, but
Yeah,
like
it's like
flesh.
bulbous, like a bulb. If any gardeners out there, kind of looks like
Shout out to
that
my
a little bit.
gardeners.
Shout out to the gardeners. Uh, so it's like this bulb, and it has a bunch of vines that sit just below the ground surface with like thorns or like spikes that kind of stick up. And if you and they go by the way, this bulb is 3 meters tall. 3 meters tall. Why is it so tall? And
Yeah,
it's
I'm American. I need to convert that real quick.
um the tendrils can extend up to 150 meters in diameter.
For
So
my fellow Americans, it is almost 10 foot tall.
yeah, um, it is, but like 150 meters in diameter. That is so. I mean, it's obviously not 300 meters, but that's still insane. Like in the documentary, it says that if you can see the bulb of the harvester, it's already too late. Like you're gone, you know. um, but these tendrils, right? They sit right above the ground. And they have thorns that when they prick you with like a neurotoxin that sends you into like a paralysis, and then it's then they also have an anticoagulant so
Mhm.
that stops your blood from clotting, so you essentially like get drained of blood and you can't move. That is one of the scariest ways I can think to die, to be unable to move and then to just bleed out.
Oh yeah, and after you bleed out, you get dragged under.
Yes, you get dragged under and digested, because it.
It's not even digested. You're just hooked to like a tentacle, and you're just
Yeah.
like stuck like a vampire.
um and it's also like reading the wiki here, it says the tendrils can sense blood and move towards it in order to absorb the blood. So like if you are hiking and you like cut your hand or cut something because you like scraped it on a rock or something like that, and your blood drips on the ground, a harvester will find you. Talk about a land shark. I love sharks. I love sharks, but talk about a land shark. Are you kidding me?
I hated that movie. That movie sucked.
What, land shark? Yeah, fair enough. It reminds me of oh my gosh, it was a was it like a I don't know, it was like a video game and one of the like shark models glitched onto land. Anyway, um so the harvester is one of the creatures that doesn't separate off of the crawl when it gets big enough. Um, which
It kind of
imagine
absorbs the crawl.
it
It kind of like
does. It like overwhelms and like absorbs the crawl. Um, the next one, honestly, probably the net.
craziest one in my opinion. Yeah.
Really,
Um,
I think the mimics are probably the craziest ones. The mimics or
no,
the
those
harvester.
are the terrifying ones. The host is the craziest one because you have to
Really,
think. Because remember, it goes miles. It goes like it can go up to like 100 miles away for wind, for spores. Because for it's to describe this creature. I think Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. If you don't know who that is, look it up. Think Baby Groot, but a bigger version. Like it's like what? It's 5 foot tall, 5 6 foot tall, and it has like spikes on its back, and it releases spores. Uh, and the wind carries the spores everywhere, and I believe it's for miles. We don't. There's an unknown radius on that, if I'm not mistaken. And when it affects the human will just start walking. Stop what it's doing. It'll start walking towards it.
Yeah, around 6 hours after being infected, whoever is like whoever breathes it in or whatever breathes it in, will stop all activities and just walk towards the direction of the host. Which, but the thing is that that only lasts for 36 hours. So if you find somebody or if whatever breathes in the spores, all you have to do is like strap them to a bed for 36 hours.
Grab a noose, tie their body down.
Yeah, basically, like you just like get I was gonna say get go buy yourself a pair of fuzzy handcuffs and just be prepared to have to handcuff your friends to the bed to stop them from going to get eaten.
Yeah. So the thing I think it's really crazy about it, it's not terrifying. I just think it's crazy. Is that like as soon as the prey goes up to the creature, it opens its chest like it's like praising someone or like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is very true. Honestly, I think that's the creepiest part. Actually, no. The creepiest part might also be that you don't know you're infected until like 6 hours later, and then you're like,
Yep.
oh, fuck. um,
I
it's
want to believe it's like a sleep paralysis. Like you're going somewhere, but you don't know where.
right, because that is one thing that uh, the documentary doesn't really get into, is what these people think. Like, are they conscious or do they go kind of like sleepwalking where they don't know that they're walking, or are they conscious and their body just moves against their will? You know,
Mhm.
I don't know. I think that's one's pretty mild, as creepy as it is, of like not knowing you're infected until like 6 hours later, and you better hope that you have people around you who can like strap you down or lock you in somewhere for 36 hours. I still think the mimics and the harvesters are worse, but I mean, and then
Oh
we
no, they're absolutely terrifying. I'm just saying it's just crazy.
it is. I mean, the host is crazy, but I don't know. I guess I guess because
On a regular terrifying, I'm gonna put the mimic at top, then harvester, then host.
yeah, fair enough. Actually, I am not, because we have two more on this list that probably.
We don't know the other one. We only have one more.
No, we have two. We don't know a lot about the seventh one, but we have the monoliths and the singularity left. Um the
Oh
monoliths.
yeah.
Yes, the monoliths are absolutely crazy. Um 120-meter tall. 120 meters. Um and they're just made of tightly woven meat fiber, to quote from the wiki. Meat fiber. I hate that word.
Just call them Twizzlers, bro.
They do kind of look like Twizzlers. I'm not gonna lie, they do kind of look like Twizzlers. I want to know, right? So they're 120 meters tall. They have all these like tentacles almost. They're like big. Yeah, it's
Big
weird.
Teletubby.
No.
I think that's Dipsy with the
um
triangle.
but they're very tall, and as arms they have like tentacle things almost. But I want to know what's up with that hole in their head. They have just like a hole. I want to know what that's for. Why is that there? Why was that like an evolutionary need? As somebody who is getting like a biology degree, I want to know why did evolution put that hole in their head? What purpose does it serve?
It's Tinky Winky. There we go. That makes sense.
You just look up.
Yeah, I was trying to look because they're head shapes. They have different head shapes. You got a lightning bolt, you got a straight line, you got a circle, and then a triangle.
Yeah,
And the monolith's head is literally a triangle. So I was
that
like,
is
which
true.
one is it? And it's Tinky Winky, but red instead.
Um, yeah, I don't know. It just says like, oh, and also these monoliths, they look humanoid, right? Other than being absolutely gigantic, but they have so many like roots or like tendrils, roots almost, like locking them into the ground. And I think what scares me most about the monoliths is that they all seven of them were just randomly discovered on an island. By the way, this takes place, or I mean it takes place worldwide, but most of everything that happens takes place in Canada. um but they're found on an island in Hudson Bay, Canada in 1972, and they were just there suddenly. Like, you would think that people would realize that there are ginormous meat creature towers just like chilling on an island right off the coast of Canada.
I mean, they did, and then they're like, attack it. And then they shot like very powerful missiles. They received in. They decided. The monoliths decided to go. Hey, that's not cool. Have an EMP blast and some screaming because like a lot of the team actually died. That was the thing. Is it
Yeah,
can
the
kill.
monoliths. Yeah, that is a very interesting point. Like, the monoliths are very stationary. They don't really move. Um but the one documented time that they did move, they killed so many people. Um they, like, the tendril kind of things they have for arms just started just like killing people. It was crazy. Um it can also let out an EMP blast. What is that about? Why are they able to manipulate electromagnetic fields?
Bro thinks he's Magneto.
True. Uh so real.
That's funny.
Um I will, however, I think that the EMP is linked to the fact that they surround the singularity on this island, which, yeah, so the monoliths are, to give you a visual, right? If you haven't watched Vita Carnis, all seven of these monoliths are arranged in a circle about 1.5 kilometer in diameter, and they surround what's called the singularity, which we're going to talk about next. Um, and I I think that the EMP has something to do with the singularity because we really don't know a lot about the singularity yet. Um, and I don't know. I think that has to do something with it. But I think those are more creepy than like scary, more eerie, I guess is the right word, you know?
Yeah. They they also are stationary. They don't move unless you provoke them,
Yeah.
and you can only provoke them with missiles or just running up close to it.
Um, so going on to the trivia section, right, of the
Mm-hmm.
wiki, it says the island that the monoliths reside on does not exist in real life. May have been made artificially, created by the singularity, or is just a made up island. The island has since then been roped off. So the island that these monoliths are on, you actually can't go up to the monoliths. They're like roped off. Um, and then it also says there was an incident in Redacted, where the monoliths did become active and proceeded to walk toward civilization where they may have caused havoc. It was only after rockets were fired at it that the monoliths returned to the island and have been stationary to this day. So, could you imagine 150 meters tall, and they just decide, or 120, my bad, 120 meters tall, and they just decide to start walking. First of all, there's so many tendrils connecting to the ground. How do they walk?
Um, like like in Gmod, where they just like slide everywhere if you don't like have a proper model.
Yeah, I guess fair enough.
By the way, for those who are watching, we actually have scientific names for everything.
Yes, yes, we do. And the scientific name for the monoliths, since we're talking about them, Colum Carnis, translating to heaven of the flesh. Heaven of the flesh. What a
It's
name.
yeah. The mimic is Trucy Datum Carnis. The harvester is Congregature Carnis. The host is Imperium Carnis, Dominion of the Flesh. The other one is Gatherer of the Flesh and Butchered Flesh. That's for the mimic. That's actually really good.
Right,
Cowardly Flesh is Ignavus Carnis, and that's the crawl. Or not crawl. That's the trimming.
right. Um,
Scandier Carnis is the crawl, and that's reverse climb the flesh.
oh my gosh. Um, a good segue, I guess, into Verum Carnis, translating to the truth of the
Truth of the
flesh,
flesh. That
or
is just, the singularity.
the singularity. Um, and it is on this island called Hudson Bay. And it is what is surrounded by the monoliths. It is just like this from what we see, right? It is just like this black circle that just floats. It just like is suspended in the air. Um, and it emits like magnetic fields and like energy. And I it's so the singularity, right? It is at
Mm-hmm.
least the one in Canada is not the only one. There's multiple across like the different continents.
There's supposedly seven, and
There
my brain
is
goes, "Ooh, chaos emeralds." Shout out to
um
Sonic fans.
my my brain goes, that is one for every continent, which also means that there are 7 monoliths on every continent because Canada can't be the only one with the monoliths. So that's
At 47, no, 49.
49. It's 49 monoliths. Um but it's it's this theory that the singularity is probably the origin of the Vita Carnis creatures. Um despite it supposedly being a product of the crawl. So supposedly, right, the theory is that the singularity was made by the crawl, and the singularity then caused the production of all the other Vita Carnis creatures. Um it I don't know. It is like if you guys go to the wiki and like look at the close-up picture of the singularity, it looks crazy. It looks like a solid black like marble with like black and red marble, but instead of the swirl, it's like spider web. Um like a
Think of
spider
like,
web pattern.
like the funny looking marbles that with like the stuff in like the glitter inside. Think of that.
Yeah, except it's like black and red.
Yeah.
Um And that's all we know about the singularity. Literally nothing. We know nothing about the singularity, but that also means that we can now transfer onto the story. We've introduced all of the creatures, and we get to talk about the lore, the story, the plot, you know? And the plot so far, from what you gather, is Um,
That's right. You gather because during each of the either the documentary or like a few uh, of the videos, we get a flash images of either a document or a storybook.
yes, yes, and shout out to the Vita Carnis Reddit, specifically user Geekcorn121, who I don't know if they're the original poster, but they are um, the post that we're going to be using to talk about the hidden documents today. Um, these documents are one frame, it's literally one frame. Um, or like 1 to 2 frames. It's crazy. Some of them are readable, some of them are not.
Well, they
Um,
are readable, but sometimes really hard to read.
yes. The first one you get is just a newspaper of the crawl. What I'm assuming, because you can't read the newspaper because it's too blurry, even in like the actual video, not just the picture that we have here on the Reddit, but just the newspaper in general isn't legible. It's not readable. But it just says crawl as like the title, and I am going to assume that that is probably a news clipping from when the crawl first appeared. Um, and they started calling it the crawl, and it started to get really well known. Um, and then and then on top of that, we also start getting storybook pages, and those are huge in the story. I'm calling it now. I am calling it.
Absolutely.
Yes, I am calling it. They are a huge, huge indicator, or a huge, I don't want to say foreshadowing, right? But and this is just season one. I would like you guys to know that season one just finished. Um, so we just had the season one finale. Uh, Fingers crossed we get more. And we can do an update episode as this continues because it is ongoing. But yes, so the storybook is about a prince who his family gets lost at sea. The ship crashes, it sinks, whatever, and then he shows up on this island. He finds a cave. He ends up falling asleep in this cave. However, on this island are little creatures, and I'm gonna say like if any of you guys have seen Star Wars, if you've seen, I forget what they're called. Um,
Yeah, which one? Are you talking like? Are you talking about? Oh yeah, the Jawas.
yeah. I don't know. My brain was gonna make me say Ewok, but that's just because I love Ewoks so much.
Oh, Ewoks are the
I
best.
love them. But yeah, Jawas. They look like
Shout
Jawas,
out to Wicket.
but they look like Jawas. But instead of like the cloaks, think of them kind of like in like upside down ice cream cones. You know.
No, they're in their summer fit.
um, but
They got no. They don't have sleeves, and their capes don't go all the way to their feet.
fair enough. But there are these creatures in inhabiting this island, and they find the prince sleeping, and so there's not a lot of food on this island. That is a very big plot point. There's not a lot of food on this island, and I have one of the pages pulled up. It's very clear, so I'm going to read it. And this is when the creatures find the prince. Although one day the critters found the cave while searching for food, they found the prince in a trance in his healing sleep. The critters were so in awe, or so awestruck and enchanted by the prince's magic. So these creatures end up going into this cave, find the prince like in a healing sleep in this trance, and they were so in awe that they actually end up like collecting food and helping this prince heal. And there are some pages that this post is missing that I'm aware of. So if you do, the rest of the pages that I'm going to talk about aren't on the Reddit, but they
They
are
will be
there.
on the fandom one. They actually do have all of them.
Yeah. Um, but they're The rest of the story goes these little creatures help heal the prince, and when the prince is healed enough, he makes um he if I remember correctly, the boy uses his magic to give the creatures food. He like heals the island, and then he makes a raft and sails back home to his parents and tells these creatures, I have to go back and tell my family I'm alive, but I will be back. I will come back. And they like wave goodbye. They say goodbye, and that's all that I can remember happening in the storybook. Which
One
makes
of the
me
important things is that the flag that is used in the storybook and the final page that we see that is ripped off is it has the symbol for the government officials that we see as one of the documents, which
yes,
is
yes,
actually which is allude to the singularity.
yes. That is very true. Um, there is a symbol, and it's a black circle with a red triangle in it, and they are you find them this triangle and like a pin on a lot of like government officials or really like high up military people, um and you there's also the flavor enhancer, right? And the flavor enhancer is also stamped with this red circle, or with this red triangle, my bad. um which I don't know. I'm just a conspiracy theorist at heart. I would not trust that flavor enhancer.
No, remember it got recalled by the millions.
It did. It did. It got recalled because people were eating it and getting sick. I would not have eaten it in the first place. Um, but it got recalled because it was making people sick and people weren't feeling like themselves and whatnot. And it's, I don't know, the way that advertise, like there's the cooking show that I very highly suggest, if you guys haven't seen any videos, to at least go watch that one. um it's just an advertisement for the flavor enhancer, and the
It's the
way
most '90s and like early
it
2000s
is
commercial I've ever seen.
it is um and it's the way that they treat the flavor enhancer, where it's like, oh my gosh, put it on your food after you're done cooking. Do not cook the flavor enhancer, because it just ruins the effects, like, are you kidding? What kind of seasoning is it that you're not allowed to cook it? Like, I'm aware that some seasonings are like better put on afterwards, but I've never run into a seasoning where it is very strict that you do not cook it. I just don't trust it.
Of course you don't. Well, you can't even taste it now, anyways. It's recalled.
I know, but I'm saying, like, if I put myself in this universe at the time, right, that for the flavor
That it
enhancer
was
was a
released.
thing, yeah, where it had been released, I would have cooked it, because that's, I would have put it in the food and I would have cooked it, and because that's what you do with seasonings. um, but then if
I
I saw
wouldn't cook
this,
it at all. I
if
wouldn't
I
even like buy it.
right, but I'm saying, like, if I had, I would have cooked it. But if I had seen like a advertisement where it says don't cook it, I would not trust it. I would not touch it. Like,
The
I don't
one thing
know.
I've always learned from like as seen on TV commercials is don't buy it because it's usually crap.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Um Another very interesting newspaper clipping that we get in one of these very small flashes is a about the meat snake in the subway, and it talks about how during a sweep of underground segments made during the war, a meat snake was discovered stuck inside an underground subway. The beast was measured at a total of 40 meters in length. Um, it is believed that bodies gathered during the war were fed to the creature, causing it to reach unbelievable size. And then we have like scribbled out, and then it's just cult activity highlighted. Cult activity. which is a big thing that actually came about in
In the
the
finale,
finale. Um,
is we find out that there's actually a church going on. We actually have a religion that is that has been started and continuing, as the video itself is called Facility Zero.
yes,
But
Facility
what happens
Zero.
is basically, oh sorry, if
No,
you
you
were
go
going to talk
ahead. Go
about it.
ahead.
Okay, basically in this video, what happens is a bunch of military or special ops go into this building trying to infiltrate it. They had to be careful because there was a monolith outside, but also they had to get past the security system.
I was also going to say that the wiki says that it's believed that the government had captured all 7 of the singularities and attempted to perform a ritual of sorts, but were interrupted by Carcass, which is the it was all 7 of them, and they were interrupted by Carcass, which is the military kind of special ops guys who are tasked with researching and like kind of handling the Vita Carnis creatures. Um, but yeah, they were interrupted, and it turned into I don't want to say a firefight because I doubt that the cultists were armed. Who knows though? Because you don't really
No,
see anything. You just kind of
it
see
was a
these.
it was a mass murder. That's what
Yeah,
happened.
yeah. They went in there. Bullets flew, and the cultists were. What were they trying to do with all 7? First of all, one is seems to be like powerful by itself. What was having all 7 in a room? First of all, how did they transport them? Did they just like loop around a rope? How did they get them past the monoliths? How in the world did they pull that off in the first place? And I'm not trying to point out like plot holes by any means, because I think that it's going to be very, very interesting to see if for some reason we do get more lore on how they even pulled that off. I want to know, because that that is some crazy shit.
It is.
I insane. Um but yeah, I don't this in this world where like your government, one of the flashes talks about there's a harvester that ends up killing, I believe, a 5 or 6 year old boy, I think, and his
They
mother.
killed he killed the mother, the father, and the younger
No,
brother
it
of
wasn't it wasn't
one
the
of our
father.
main.
The father lived. It was just the mother and the son.
No, that's right. The father died later on due to
Yeah.
weird causes,
Yes,
and
yes.
that's basically kind of our main protagonist going on besides Carcass.
Yeah.
Because in one of the videos, we get a tape that is like saying, "I know you're also a part of this. We want to help each other out with what's going on."
Yes, that's the third to last. It's not um message to Carcass. I believe it's the one before that, where, or it might be message to Carcass. Um but it puts the viewer as like the main, like a main character or a main protagonist. Um because I'm assuming that all these documentaries and all of this information, right, instead of it being like televised, what's happening lore wise is you are a member of Carcass being educated. Like, you're given these videos to sit down and watch and educate yourself before you go out there. Um and then you get contacted by this person who says, like, I know you've been researching them, and I know it's been your job, and we can help each other. I am so excited to see where this is going because of the way that it ended and the way that the last 3 episodes, I'm going to call them, went.
The last 3 episodes. I feel like that the kind of I think it's the overall like the season finale because it is technically a season
Yes, yeah.
was so good. I felt like it was a good like cutoff point for if the story continues or not.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I really hope it does not because I love it so much. Um, it is probably my second favorite analog, my third or second favorite analog horror. My first being Gemini Home Entertainment, which we'll do at a later point.
This is my third favorite. Um,
Really?
because I think it's news channel 53. I think
Okay,
it's called, where basically a bunch of snowmen, or like the snow itself, becomes an entity and starts killing people.
fair enough.
And I just like that whole idea because it's creepy because it takes place in Minnesota during the winter time.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just have a special place in my heart for Gemini Home Entertainment.
that's true. That's true.
I think Vita Carnis might be my third one because there's a second one that I'm blanking on the name. I'm blanking on the name, but
We'll
we'll
cover it.
yeah, we'll cover it eventually. But I genuinely enjoy Vita Carnis. It is very well made. Shout out to the creator. I really don't know um if it's
Let's call him
Darian.
Dorian.
Yeah, if it's Darian or Darian, but
Darian.
um shout out to to the creator. They've done such a good job. Um and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's so good. It does have very loud noises, flashing lights and stuff. So, and it can be kind of disturbing at some points, but it's analog horror, you know.
If you're trying to get into analog horror and don't expect those things, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, for real. I will say though, Vita Carnis is probably a good starter analog horror. Like if you have never seen an analog horror before and you're interested and you want to know what it's like, I want to say Vita Carnis is one of the good ones to start with. Um, it's either that or Gemini Home Entertainment is also really good to start with. Um,
Maybe not Gemini, because remember, you also have to play a game to understand the lore,
I mean, yeah,
which
but you can also
we'll
you
get
can
into.
yeah, we'll get into. It's fine. It's okay. But it's I just overall probably my third favorite analog horror that I've seen to date. It is so good. Please go watch it. The link to the channel will be below. There's a playlist called Vita Carnis in viewing order, made by the creator. Just watch that if you haven't already. But it's a very good. Any thoughts as we hit the hour mark?
Um, I really hope we get more. Again, Darian, you did a great job. I hope you continue to bring us like content and like show us that what we're currently viewing has more emphasis to it as down the road. Or if you want to stop, take a break for a while, that's okay too. We'll still be here waiting for you.
Yes, we will be eagerly waiting, kicking our feet, you know,
Yep.
twirling our hair, kicking our feet, eagerly awaiting the new. Am so excited to see how season 2 starts off cuz something inside me says that it's going to start off with a bang, but that might just be my high hopes and dreams.
We will. We'll see when we get there.
Yes, we will. Um is there anything else you would like to cover?
Um, I hope we get more documents about it because all the documents that we've seen are like really well written and like feel like an actual like news article or some sort of article
Or a
that
storybook?
yeah, or storybook that we would see on shelves. And by the way, Darian, I hope this is you who drew the crawl and all like everything else, but your
Yes.
art is fantastic. And
Yes.
then and also the special effects. I'm a sucker for special effects. Or not special
Oh,
effects.
yeah.
Sorry. What is it? Prosthetic effects or
Yeah.
prosthetics in
Like
general.
puppetry and stuff.
Puppetry. Yep.
I
You did really good with the mimic head. The fingers are I feel like are kind of weird looking, but you did really good overall. That scene in particular really freaked me out. And then the crawl puppet is really well done. I like how you can open its mouth and close it
The
without it like
trimming.
yeah, the trimming without it like looking weird.
Yes. I don't know. I think because the hand drawn art is so good. It's so good, and it's obvious that this plot was like thought up quite thoroughly. Um and I ooh as a hobbyist story writer, someone who has the whole plot in their head, this is if that's the case, this is going to go so well. If that's not the case, it may go even better. But besides the point, this is going in such a good direction. I cannot wait to see where it continues and how it ends. It's so good. Um, oh, there is one thing that we did not mention, and it's that all these meat creatures are slowly migrating towards the island.
Yes.
And I cannot wait to see what that is about. Why are they migrating towards the singularity? What is going on? Is that island that the singularity is on? Is it the same island that that boy landed on in the storybook?
There's
And
also, by the way, the storybook is also a lot of people have interpreted that it is a alien that arrived on Earth, and they were trying to take care of it because they saw it and thought it was interesting, and just took care of it. And they didn't have a lot of food at the time.
yes, yeah, that is true. Um, but I want to know because that island is obviously significant. I want to know if that island is the island that the prince, whether the prince um is not an actual prince or if he is. I want to know, is that island the island that the prince landed on? Because that would make that island, Hudson Bay, the center of the entirety of Vita Carnis.
That would be actually really interesting. But yeah,
Yeah, so
as you wake up for today, um, just keep in mind that there are still horrors out there
yes,
that
there
you
are. The only safe places in Dreamscapes. As you wake up, go about your day safely.
and remember, keep dreaming.
Keep dreaming, of course.